Let's go step by step and develop a project together. We are going to go through this as step by step, and it's going to be different kind of clips within the playlist. So from step one, what we are going to do is we're going to use an address-based project. We go into the address. We're going to type in an address of choice. The addresses can be anywhere in the US, Canada, Australia, or New Zealand. Those are the areas that we have the most data for. It also works elsewhere in the world with less data. So we select the address, it's going to zoom into the location, and is going to prompt, is this the address that you want? You are going to notice that on the bottom, it has this create a project for this address blinking. This is how you create your first project. Click on create a project. It will go through the process and it will start locating information for that given address. This could take a few seconds or it could take longer, depending on where you're at, what the address location is, how big the address is. Some addresses could be several hundred acres. It's going to take between 2 to 5 minutes. It's going to go through the process and locate the information and start little by little building all the different aspects of the project for you on the screen. This took probably about 20 seconds. We have the address information, and we have the information that we collected, the data sources. So in this one, on the data sources, we have high resolution aerial imagery. We have information about boundaries and municipalities. We have wind information. We have solar information, and we have elevation data. Now, in some places, you might not have all of this information. Everywhere in the world, we do have satellite information, but obviously it's not as accurate as aerial imagery. So in this lesson, all we're going to do is become familiar with various menus options for a given project. You click on a project, and the project will open up. And as the project opens up, you will get the ability to take a look at various options within the menus of the project. So what are these options? Let's take a look at the menus that are presented within the objects, right? So on the left, you have everything that you can do in this project. So you have home, you have the export abilities, if you're planting, sharing this project with the others, and if there are requests from the clients, which we are going to go through in different sessions. You have preferences. On the preferences, you can show aerial imagery, which is what we are doing here. We have aerial imagery of various dates for this given address. You can always go back to these. We have elevation information that we are showing, and these are these little dotted areas. If you uncheck that, it will go away. You have the elements outside of per cell and objects that are available. If you have created an object, you see on the selected. For InQI, we set a 5-foot setback as a default, and that's the red dotted line that you see here. Those are the 5-foot setbacks, right? Now, you have exports. Under exports, you can export the plan. And the plan is everything you see. So we see the elevations, we see the property line, the 5-foot setback, and we see the highlighted roof line, and also a little roof line here. So these are what we see. So we are what you see, what you get. Yes, I'm also looking at the picture, but nothing is highlighted, right? So that's one thing to have in mind. The output formats are PDF, SVG, CAD file. It generates a fully compatible AutoCAD file that you can bring into any compatible application and use. Also a screenshot PDF, which basically uses screenshot and also build a site plan. We have enabled landscaping reports, and also we have complete property report. Feel free to play around with these and find out what they are. We are going to do a couple of them soon today. Now, this box that you see here, that's high resolution imagery, this is actually an aerial imagery for this specific project that is probably a couple of months old. If you like, you can export that out. You also have export settings of high resolution and other things that you can do here. Do play around with these to get familiar with it. What other options are there? Let's go to homepage. So you can name your project whatever you want. It just puts the address. You can name it, a familiar name. It'd be Johnson's Home if you like to. You have a Google imagery that shows the front. You have the data sources we talked about. We have the ability here to go and take a look at, going back to the dashboard, the layer settings. What are the layers? This layer setting and this layer setting is the same option. These are all the things that you can do within the given project where you can see all the different options that you can enable, or if you enable it, put it on a project. You can build an entire plan using these layers. We'll cover them little by little down this path of training. We have information about this address. Who does it belong to? Various information on zoning. That's available. We have also the information about exports, which we talked about going in here. We can go into the 3D model, which we'll cover in the future, in the near future in our lessons. We have options to do and take a look at the wind rose plot specifically for this address. Right? This is an important aspect of it if you're doing design. And we do have the sun movement location specifically for this address. On the top, this menus is what's available. By default, we show you the property line, we'll show you the roof line, and the 5-foot setback, and it's here. You can do a selection, this is always available. But none of the other options are shown here until you go to layers and choose one of these layers, which we will cover in the lessons. Save your project often, that's a good thing about whatever product you use. A 3D model, going through 3D view, which we'll talk about, going back home. These are various aspects you can measure, distance, and so forth. And you have a Zen mode. Zen mode enables you to see the property parameters, and all those details without having to look at the imagery. These are all the aspects of what the menus look like.